I think it is really important that I talk to you tonight about the looming crisis that could soon pummel the U.S. economy, because the consequences will affect all of us. House Republicans have confirmed that they are willing to push the economy off a cliff for political leverage. In plain terms, they are refusing to raise the debt ceiling, which is basically just paying for bills that they and the Trump White House largely racked up, unless Democrats in the Biden White House agree to deep cuts to our future budget. Simply put, they are taking America's economy hostage and saying that after a 4-year Christmas spending spree under Trump, they will stop paying the nation's credit card bill unless Biden agrees to play Scrooge in future Christmases. And what do the House Ebenezers want to cut? Well, you might think they would want to look at defense spending, since so many of them are all up in arms about funding Ukraine and the woke military. But no, that is the untouchable third rail. Instead, they want to kill large chunks of Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, which means spending on the environment and transportation, the bridges, tunnels, electric cars, that sort of thing. And guess who they think should bear the brunt of these cuts? The poor, of course, since their bill targets programs for them. The House Republican bill that the media credited as a McCarthy win would add work requirements to Medicaid and expand current work requirements for the food stamp program and the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program. The work requirements would cause some families to lose monthly food benefits or lose health coverage if the person receiving Medicaid were to become sick and be unable to work. That would leave our most vulnerable with zero income or government support. The financial service Moody's called the Republican proposal a stinker because it would effectively lay off 780,000 Americans, which would also slow economic growth. It is a dangerous time to be playing these kinds of political games, because a default, or even the threat of a default, could trigger global panic at a time when our economy is fragile. House Republicans claim they're doing this in the name of fiscal responsibility, but then you might ask why they raised the debt ceiling 3 times under Trump with no preconditions while spending continued to soar.
A debt ceiling is like giving your child a credit card, and they charge the limit all the way up. Would you just raise the limit? No, you would sit down.
Well, if it meant playing with America's standing at full faith and credit of U.S. government debt, I feel like you can deal with the spending in other ways, which is totally legitimate.
So if you just raise the debt ceiling, do you think $31 trillion of debt? The CBO has come out in the next 10 years. Do you know we'll pay 10.5?
You did it 3 times in the Trump administration.
As we did economic changes.
As we did economic changes. You know what those economic changes were? They were tax cuts to the wealthy, which added roughly $2.3 trillion to the little kid's credit card, the debt. The only difference this time is that a Democrat is president, and Republicans have a history of messing with the debt ceiling under Democratic presidents to score political points. Bottom line, the House bill is going nowhere in the Senate because President Biden, congressional Democrats, and most analysts agree that the full faith and credit of the U.S. government is not up for negotiation. It is now up to Kevin McCarthy to come up with an acceptable off-ramp fast. The question is, how can he do it? How can he do it with the so-called moderate Republicans when they only answer to MAGA extremists? Well, we're about to find out. Late this afternoon, President Biden invited all 4 congressional leaders, House Speaker McCarthy, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and Minority Leader Mitch McConnell to the White House next week to discuss how to avoid a debt default. Joining me now is Congressman Ro Khanna of California. It is hilarious to me when Republicans say, it's like giving your kid a credit card. They were the kid for 4 years. They spent the money and now they don't want to pay the bill.
$8 trillion that Trump racked up, 25% of the debt. But here's the credit card bill and kids analogy. If your kids racked up credit card bills and credit card debt, who says I'm just not going to pay the company?
Right.
I mean, okay, so they can take your house and destroy your credit. Of course you pay the bills.
Right.
It's the most common sense thing.
And not only that, but the way that you would respond if, let's say, that was your only card. Let's say you racked up all of this credit card debt and you paid for needed expenses with the credit card, and you had the opportunity to raise your credit limit so that you could still buy food, you could still pay bills, you would get an increased credit limit. That is what the U.S. does. Because we have good credit, we're able to get a credit limit increase. That is all that's being asked for. And to your point, they racked up most of that debt by giving the super rich a massive tax cut. And they don't have a problem with that.
First of all, you'd pay your bills, you'd get the money, as you said, and then you'd have a conversation, right? If you're part of a family, do you say, okay, it's my way or the highway, here's what we're going to cut, and you tell your kids and your spouse that's what you do? Of course you don't. You sit there and you discuss. That's what this president is saying. He's saying, look, let's pay our bills, then I will have a conversation about how we reduce our deficit. Kevin McCarthy doesn't want that. He wants to take hostage the entire Congress unless you get exactly his bill. What if Nancy Pelosi had done that? What if we had said, unless you give us Medicare for all, unless you give us Green New Deal, President Trump, we're not going to raise the debt ceiling. Of course we don't do that because we're responsible, because we believe in compromise when it comes to the functioning of the government. They're acting irresponsible.
And a lot of your base probably would like it if y'all had done that. Let's talk about there needs to be a clean debt limit increase. That's just dumb what Kevin McCarthy is trying to argue. But in a actual budget negotiation, what would Democrats be willing to put on the table? Because the reality is we do need a Green New Deal. We do actually need to do more on climate. We do actually need things like, preschool, subsidized preschool, the things that got cut out of the bill when the big infrastructure bill went through. How do those things get done?
Well, let's start with the fact that most of the debt historically has been racked up with Republican presidents. Bill Clinton left us with a budget surplus. Here's what happened after that. We went into these overseas wars that racked up a lot of money. We had the Trump tax cuts for the very wealthy. We had the Bush tax cuts for the very wealthy. If we just start by repealing the tax cuts to the very wealthy and we stop a lot of these overseas wars and we don't have a defense budget that gets to $1 trillion.
Why doesn't defense ever get cuts?
I don't know. And have you ever noticed, Joy, that when we speak about defense, we talk about a one-year spending, it's going to be almost $1 trillion. But when we talk about the IRA, 360-some billion, that's over 10 years.
Yeah.
We're going to do 10 trillion almost over 10 years.
And who would, in this bill, we're talking about cutting things like SNAP. You're talking about cutting food stamps, Meals on Wheels. Why do Republicans think it's good politics to go after elderly people who could get sick and then can't get Medicaid? So you're saying now on top of being sick, now you lose your Medicaid. And what do they expect to happen to those people?
They're hoping people don't pay attention to the details.
Yeah.
But, that's what our job is. The cuts are for veterans' health care, 22% cut for veterans' health care.
Oh, that part of military spending they can cut.
Yeah, exactly. So that you can actually get an appointment at the VA. That's what this is going to mean for veterans. Less appointments, longer wait times.
Yeah.
They're cutting K through 12 education, early childhood education, food stamps. At a time the economy is going through tough times, and you're going to take away food stamps. By the way, there was a great study, USA Today, that if you have work requirements, it does nothing to actually increase work. All it does is take food away from people, which they may need to get back to
Whereas
work.
SNAP boosts the economy because it all gets spent at Walmart and at stores. I want to do a little side issue I want to talk to you about. You had a back and forth on the Twitters with one Vivek Ramaswamy, who currently is boasting about getting, who was the only African-American anchor in this business before I joined him in prime at CNN, Don Lemon. He's boasting about getting him fired. He thinks that is somehow going to be a big, flag for his run for president. Your thoughts on him? Because you've been back and forth with him online.
When he first started, I thought, okay, here's an Indian American, funny name, we disagree. Hopefully he makes a good showing or does something well. And it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, Joy. My phone blew up with other Indian Americans saying, make it clear he doesn't speak for us. Yeah. To sit there lecturing a black man about black history was totally uncalled for. And then he didn't have all his historical facts. The Indian American community in this country owes a huge debt to the African American community. If it weren't for the civil rights movement, the 1965 Immigration Reform Act wouldn't have passed. My parents wouldn't have come to America. Before that, basically, immigrants from Asia and Africa were not allowed to come. It was highly discriminatory.
It's really ironic because neither his nor my parents could have come here under the rules before the Civil Rights Act, before that 65 Civil Rights Bill. But he's acting as if the NRA somehow saved African Americans in the Civil War. The NRA wasn't even formed until 1871. Well, he doesn't know anything about African American history. He clearly doesn't know the reasons for the Civil War because he thinks the purpose of the Civil War was to get black people the right to bear arms. Well, what?
The last I checked, Dr. King, it was a nonviolent civil rights movement influenced, by the way, by Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah. And so the fact that maybe some of them had guns to protect themselves, they weren't advocating the use of guns. They were advocating nonviolence. And here's the point. He's saying, well, any individual should have the right to talk about black history. Of course, everyone should have the right to talk about it. He should have opinions, but they should be informed opinions. Yeah. They should be opinions after you've read history books, and they should be ones not with arrogance, but with humility. Yeah. Especially if you're talking to someone who has actually studied and read that history.
Yeah, I guess, I guess being fluid in your mellifluous ability to speak does not mean that you know what the hell you're talking about. And he clearly did not. And Don was right in that argument. Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.